Okay folks, in this video we're going to look at doing a COUNTIF and a SUMIF. Now the COUNTIF and the SUMIF are almost always together. They are BFFs in the spreadsheet world. The SQA very rarely has them separated. They can be separated and you'll still need to be able to work that out if they do, but they're almost always together. And when you do your past papers like this old one from 2011, you can still see that they're together. So, the way to identify whether it's a COUNTIF or a SUMIF or both together is you often will see it ask you for a number and a total. So the number, sorry, an amount. The number tends to be the COUNTIF and the amount is almost always a SUMIF. Obviously pay close attention to the data you're working with, but generally that is the standard rule of thumb. So, what I like to do before I start my COUNTIF and my SUMIF is just have a look at the other sheets to see what I'm working with. On here, you can see that there's a house, there's a charity, and there's a guidance teacher. So if I look at the receipts tab, I can see that there is a name, which seems to match the guidance teachers. There's an event, there's an amount raised. So what we're going to clearly be doing here is using the names of the guidance teacher to count up the number of events, because every event appears to have a guidance teacher name next to it, and then we'll do a SUMIF after that to use the same process to work out the amount raised in total. So first up, COUNTIF. So we'll select the cell that we want to put our COUNTIF in, we'll do our insert function, we'll search for COUNTIF, and then we'll click OK. So only two things that you need in the COUNTIF. The range is the range of cells that you want to count, and the criteria is what you want it to count. So the range that we want it to count is this column of names, because there's a name for every event. Then we'll press F4 as we would any time we highlight more than one cell. And then the criteria for this first one is going to be Anne Gilmer. So immediately it's given us 20. We can replicate it like we would any other formula because we have F4 the table. And it's given us some answers. Now what I like to do, or I suggest that you do, is you can filter a table of information. If you highlight the whole table, you can do Control A if you want, or highlight it manually by holding it and dragging it down. You then click on your filter and we can filter it to only show us one of the guidance teachers. We can then highlight all the records for that guidance teacher, and then where I'm circling my mouse down the bottom right here, it does a count for you, showing that there's 20. I'm going to take that filter away. When we then look back at our sheet, we can see Anne Gilmer's got 20. So I was pretty confident I'd done it right before. Now I'm very confident because I can see that quickly. The great thing about these two being together is that they both start with the first two steps. So we'll go for a SUMIF this time. They both start with the exact same two steps. So we're going to highlight the list of names. We're going to F4 that list of names. We're then going to click on our criteria, which is still Anne Gilmer. The only difference this time for the SUMIF is that we're going to add an extra column in to total up the amount that we've raised. So again, click on the top record and drag it all the way down. You'll F4 it like you would any other range, and then you'll click OK. Make sure it's currency, copy it down, and you can see that that looks very plausibly correct. The numbers don't look too different than the previous year, but again, like a COUNTIF, we can check. Highlight the whole table, do a filter. We're going to filter it to Anne Gilmer again just to make sure. And then we're going to highlight the amounts on the right hand side. And again, if I'm circling down here, you can see the count is 20, which is good because that's what it was before. But now we have the sum, and it's £2,021.65. If we go here, you can see that that matches as well. So one of the great things about admin is that you can essentially check your work. The only thing I'd say is don't get hung up on it. If it's not working and you've tried to fix it and you can't get over it, sometimes it's best to move on and come back to it if you know that it's wrong, or simply leave it and just focus on getting the other formula. So that is a COUNTIF and a SUMIF. Just to quickly recap, the range is the column that you want to highlight to check in. so that you're counting everyone that's in that column. The criteria is what you want to count, so this row would be Anne Gilmore, the next row Julie Buchanan, and the final column is the column that you would like to add together if the first column says your criteria, and that gives you the total. So that is the COUNTIF and SUMIF, and I'll add a link to the file for the 2011 Caledonia High School into the description so that you can have a go at this alongside the video if you wish.